What's the darkest thing your boyfriend has ever done to you? I'm in my senior year of high school, and I've already moved in with my boyfriend's family. You see, my family is the definition of crazy. And when I started showing up at his house with new cuts and injuries, his mom insisted on taking me in. And whenever I felt like a burden, my boyfriend would reassure me that I don't need to earn love or care because I was already enough. Every time I heard that, it made me cry. And living with them improved my life so much that, for the first time ever, I actually felt happy. So one day during lunchtime, when I sat beside a girl who looked sad, I wanted nothing more than to cheer her up. And somehow, we ended up being super alike. She was the first person I met whose mom seemed even crazier than mine. Anytime I raised my voice or made a sudden movement, she would shut her eyes really tight and cover her head with her arms. So when our conversation ended, I asked my BF if she could stay with us. Obviously not permanently, but just a sleepover now and then to give her a safe space. He kissed my forehead and reminded me that his home is now my home, so I could do whatever I wanted. I practically jumped with joy, and the next day when I invited her over, she was just as happy as me. For the next few months, she ended up coming over every weekend, and since her mom barely fed her or gave her money, me and my boyfriend would give her money from our part-time jobs. It was the closest thing to a family I ever had. But I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because one day my boyfriend noticed that a $50 from his nightstand went missing. So I texted her asking if she'd seen it, and she never replied. I tried to convince myself she just didn't see the text, but then she started flat out ignoring me in school. And before I continue this story, I just want to make it clear to you guys. Me and my boyfriend had been funding this girl for months, and had even paid for some of her therapy sessions. Then she stole from us and was mad at me for confronting her about it. So now to continue, I can tell you that me and my BF had no intention of ever going out of our way for her again. I thought the situation was clear-cut. Boy, was I wrong. Because a few weeks later, I felt nostalgic and wanted to read through our old texts. But that's when I noticed I had her blocked. I thought it was weird, since I had no memory of blocking her. But I was ready to just shrug it off, until I unblocked her. Because that's when I got a sea of messages from her saying she didn't know what the F I was talking about, and she never stole anything. And when I didn't respond, she started borderline spamming me about why I was ignoring her. The final message was her explaining how she'll always appreciate what me and my boyfriend did for her, and she'll leave me alone in school from now on. Suddenly, an awful gut feeling washed over me. I thought back to all my boyfriend's passive-aggressive comments towards her. Looking back, it was obvious he was jealous of having to share me with someone else. Thinking about it made my head spin, so I decided to hold off on taking any action with the girl or my BF until I knew the whole story. I wish I knew it was a race against time, because 2 days later, the principal of our school announced that she had self-unalived. I lost my mind. My boyfriend tried to comfort me and tell me it wasn't my fault, but the whole time I never blamed myself. I blamed him. A few weeks have passed since then, and he still doesn't know that I know he lied about the money being stolen. Should I stay here and live with a borderline murderer, or do I move back home with my crazy mother? Please help.